Aloha class! This short presentation created by Eastern Washington University occupational therapy students Maria Snyder, Jordan Phillips, Rachel Johnson, and myself, Yanette Bravo, will discuss the Person, Environment, Occupation, and Performance Model, otherwise known as PEOP, and how it can be applied in an occupational therapy setting. Let's start with a few questions to help us understand the model. Who developed the model?
Carolyn Baum and Charles Christensen developed the model in 1985.
What population can this model be applied to?
All populations.
What are some of the key ideas of the model?
Well, Yanette, some of the key ideas of the PEOP model, as stated by Baum and Christensen, is that it is a client-centered model organized to improve the everyday performance of necessary and valued occupations of individuals, organizations, and populations, as well as their meaningful participation in the world around them. PEOP is a biopsychosocial approach that addresses components of the person, their environment, their occupational roles, and their ability to perform these roles.
Which assessment tools are included in this model?
Unfortunately, there are no assessment tools included in the model.
What are some intervention processes and methods that make this model unique?
Well, you see, this model takes a top-down approach where the therapist addresses complex interactions between the individual and their environment, their enablers and barriers, and as a result, enhances occupational participation and performance. The therapist also analyzes and identifies the client's strengths and weaknesses. The PEOP model provides a framework for practice, but does not provide specific guidelines or theory about specific assessments or intervention techniques. However, the selection of practice models should be faithful to the values of the PEOP model. This means that the practice models that are used to guide assessment and intervention cannot be limited to person and occupational factors, but must address the environment as well.
What are some strengths and weaknesses about the model?
Well, one strength is that the model has a client-centered approach and that it considers all factors that can affect occupational performance. And one critique is that the model does not have its own assessments.
All right, let's put it all together.
This illustration demonstrates the interaction between person, environment, occupation, and performance, and how these factors can either inhibit or enable occupational performance and participation.
For this case study, we will be using the story of Lucy from the movie 50 First Dates to apply the PEOP model. Lucy lives in Hawaii, and every year for her father's birthday, they have the tradition of pineapple picking. Unfortunately, on the way to pick a pineapple, her and her father suffered an accident which changed Lucy's and her family's lives drastically. Lucy was diagnosed with anterograde amnesia, where each night when she goes to sleep, all her memories from that day are erased. Because she is unable to formulate new memories, Lucy lives her day as if it were October 13 every day. Every morning, Lucy has breakfast at the same diner and heads home where her father and brother enable and control her environment to follow the same routine. One example is how Lucy's father paints his garage walls white to allow Lucy the activity of painting. Let's explore Lucy's intrinsic factors.
Lucy is very close to her family and values her family tradition. Since she relives October 13th every day, which is her father's birthday, she wants to go pick a pineapple with him because that is their birthday tradition. Lucy has no physiological barriers that would impair her performance. Psychologically, as we have previously covered, Lucy is unable to form any short-term memories. As for neurobehavioral conditions, Lucy becomes agitated and confused when her environment or situation becomes unfamiliar. Cognitively, Lucy's experience of self and time is impaired because she is unable to realize that it is not October 13th.
Let's change gears a little bit and look at Lucy's extrinsic factors.
The controlled environment in which Lucy lives also largely impacts her quality of life and her ability to carry out meaningful occupations. For this reason, OTs must consider the extrinsic environmental factors that affect Lucy's capacity to perform specific occupations in contexts that enable positive social interactions and participation, such as access to economic security or social support of family and members of her community. Therapists must also consider Lucy's connection to her Hawaiian culture and the values she holds as an individual, such as the importance of family, her love of art, and her love of her singing, while taking into account occupations that may be carried out in her tropical natural environment. In order to facilitate well-being and independence for Lucy to get back to doing the things she loves most before her accident, therapists must facilitate the interventions aimed to address any external environmental barriers for change.
Prior to Lucy's accident, she was an art teacher at a local elementary school, but because she lives as if it were Sunday, October 13 every day, she is unable to participate in this occupation. As we have explored previously, Lucy's family enables and controls her environment every day. Although she has the functional ability to engage in her occupations, her family finds it in her best interest to continue her daily routine, which restricts her from truly engaging in meaningful occupations. Let's bring it all in. Here's Lucy's PEOP diagram all put together.
Because of Lucy's short-term memory loss, her environment is very controlled for her own safety while reducing distressful situations for Lucy. However, Lucy's environment ultimately influences her ability to perform and participate in meaningful occupations. Because of Lucy's limited performance, it directly inhibits her capability to carry out occupations that would help to promote her overall independence, creating a maladaptive cycle in which Lucy is unable to break. After taking the Canadian Occupational Performance Measures Assessment, Lucy has identified that she desires to go back to work as an art teacher full-time. She also wants to incorporate a more independent role in her own life and wishes for strategies that will help her remember her boyfriend Henry. In order to facilitate neurological rehabilitation and orient Lucy to her correct temporal setting, Lucy would benefit by the creation of a video that would summarize her condition and remind her of facts that have occurred since her accident. Lucy would also benefit by writing down her ideas and thoughts into a personal diary. Therapy services would address Lucy's habits, routines, and roles while systematically introducing new experiences in an effort to expand Lucy's capacity to successfully perform activities. Successful performance, in turn, would expand Lucy's occupations while improving life participation and promote independence, well-being, and overall quality of life.
Thank you for watching our video, and if you need some mental health intervention after watching this amazing video, you are in the right department to seek therapy.
Mahalo!
Mahalo!